Children in American society historically have only suffered losses that relate to their parents for the most part. But today and tomorrow, they're going to suffer the losses of great-grandparents, of parents, of grandparents, and so on. We've been able to, in some ways, avoid that conversation. But if you're going through 2 or 3 of these kinds of sets of deaths of other kinds of people, it's something that parents are going to actually have to confront in their conversation as part of their child rearing. And that's going to be a very, very big change than what we saw historically.
When I was a kid, I loved visiting my grandmother Polly. The whole family would get together at her house every year for Christmas. But ever since she got sick, all of that changed. I could see how it affected her children.
Hi, Grandma. See, I brought Dakin. I brought Dakin back because I said I would. And we're going to take you for a little ride in your chair. We're going to find a piano. And I think Dakin's going to play. And we said to you many, many, many times, he began playing the piano on your piano. You know, her hair is amazing.
Oh my God, she's slipping. And it was a language thing. She would sort of misspeak or just, she would mix up her words. I do it, of course, now and go, oh my God, this is what Grandma was doing.
A huge part of this with older people has to do with what each of us feels about our own parents and their aging and what the loss might mean for us. And so the focus has to be on the family evolving in their understanding and growing up also.
Oh, here we are, Grandma. Whenever I would go visit her, which was about every 3 or 4 weekends, I would go down to Philadelphia to see her. She would say, I want to go home. She kept saying, I want to go home.
She could say those words.
Yes.
And what did that mean to you?
Well, to me, it meant she didn't want to be there. Whether it meant she wanted to rewind the world and go back to the way life used to be, whether it was, I'm done with this and I want to move on to the next stage.
She would get weird isn't the right word, but she'd get a little more complicated every year. I remember looking at her, doing her morning exercises, and knowing that in the old days, Nina and Sam would go over and hang with her and do exercises with her. And now they were choosing not to. And I was choosing not to make them go. And the same weekend that I was sort of looking at her, realizing this was happening, she came to me and started crying and saying, I know it's all different now. I know that you used to come over and you don't. The kids used to come over and they don't anymore. And I want you to be normal, or I want you to be the way you used to be, or something. It was hard.
How do we make decisions that don't extend the suffering of someone and maybe put more of the suffering on your shoulders as family members? That it's going to be your burden to take on the emotional work and not have your parent do it all for you.
Even though she cannot speak, there's a quality about her that has maintained itself that makes the staff love taking care of her, makes them love her. And there's been a quality of her that has made other people really love her all of her life. And it's amazing that that quality is still there.
I can't help but wonder what Mom will be like when she's Grandma's age. I don't want my mom to be scared of aging. And I think having a mother like Polly can make you scared of aging.
It's that question, when did she really die? Like she slowly declined for 10 years. So when did I get to grieve the loss of my mother? And there's this sort of unsatisfying answer that it was just a 10-year slow dribble away, as opposed to a death that one day you wake up and go, oh my God, she died and now I have feelings about it. It's like she died every day a little bit for 10 years.
And one of the things that's happened in our society, of course, is that we don't have people to help us to know how to be old, how to face the problems right near the end. We're not interested in learning about that stuff. How do you learn about dying?